Yo guys, Crescent here. Happy holidays and welcome to my Stamina Sorcerer build video. Today I'll be showing you two builds. One build is gonna be a super unique build only for Stamina Sorcerer because of the skills that Stamina Sorcerer has. So it's a build tailorly made just for Stamina Sorcerer. And the second build is gonna be an all-round, just your typical really powerful build for Stam classes, and then just gonna fit that into Stamina Sorcerer. So you have two options now for builds for Stamina Sorcerer. Before I go into the build video, I just want to mention that Stamina Sorcerer is a class that is really underwhelming this patch because it doesn't receive any buff, doesn't receive any nerf. It's still the same, while other Stam classes that are a little bit underwhelming like Stam DK or Stambler receive resources buff gain. So I'll play Stam Sorcerer just below Stambler and Stam DK, and Stam Nightblade and Stam Warden is the top two stamina classes at the moment. But if you build your Stam Sorcerer right, I still think Stam Sorcerer is really powerful because usually, as you know, on this channel I don't post a lot of Stam Sorcerer stuff because there are a lot of Stam Sorcerer theory crafter out there like Fang Rush and stuff like that. But I feel like if you don't build your Stam Sorcerer properly, you can just get wrecked easily because your healing is weak. Your defensively, you are not that strong as well in my opinion. Offensively, your damage is really underwhelming as well because the only damaging skill you have as a Stam Sorcerer is only Hurricane, and yeah, Hurricane is a good skill, but that's only Hurricane for Stam Sorcerer, so your damage output is weak as well. The only good thing you have is mobility. That's why for this build, what I did is I just plug on the weaknesses on Stam Sorcerer. So I gave him more damage, give him more sustain, not sustain, give it more damage, give it more defensive capability, and give it more damage. That is my theory crafting part for this build. Okay, now been talking way too much for this intro. Let's get into the sets. Let me start off with the unique set for Stam Sorcerer first. The monster we'll be using is Choking, 2 pieces, 2 medium, both impenetrable, both with maximum stamina enchantment. You can use Bloodspawn if you want, you can use Pirate Skeleton if you want. For me, Choking is the best because I'm an Orc. I get health regeneration passive from Orc passive tree. Passive skill line, sorry. Okay, the second set we'll be using is 45 brass set. I tried different setup. I tried Fury, I tried to use heavy, I tried to use medium. I tried out a lot of different sets. I just feel like medium is too good for Stamina Sorcerer because of crit surge. So you want to do a high crit, you want to be a high crit sorcerer to do a lot of crit damage to get back healing from crit surge. Because crit surge is a really powerful skill, gives you 3.2k health back every second. That is way more compared to something like a forward momentum that gives you only 1k every 2 seconds. So crit surge is really powerful. That's why I opted to use a medium armor setup with 45 brass. I'm using 45 brass on the body, Tri-Stat enchantment, impenetrable trait, heavy body. So this is a 6 medium, 1 heavy setup. And on the legs, I'll be using medium impenetrable trait with a maximum stamina enchantment. Other than that, I'll be using the other 3 more pieces on the jewelry. I crafted this. Doesn't need to be purple, you can use blue as well. You're not gonna lose a lot of stats from it anyways. But if you have the money, just make it go. Yeah, it's gonna be super nice. But anyways, we are using 3 robust traits. And as for the enchantment, we are just gonna use the typical 1 stamina recovery, 1 weapon damage, and the 1 cost reduction. So those are the healing set we will be having is Choking. So this will help with our healing for Stam Sock because Stam Sock doesn't have major buffs, major mending or major vitality that increases our healing. That's why Choking is really important. And defensively, 45 brass is going to be our defensive set, so we're going to be a lot more tankier on this build. Okay, now, so we have the defensive set, we have the healing set. Now the offensive set is going to be Might of the Lost Legion set. So freaking cheesy. Anyways, this set is going to be super interesting. Now should I explain the theory craft part? Okay, I'll explain it. So anyways, this set will give you for 2 piece, it gives you stamina, magicka 3 piece, 4 piece weapon damage, and spell damage for 4 piece, and the 5 piece is you're gonna get empower buff. So this is a new buff for these new patches. Basically it increases the damage of your light attack by 40%, and for the next 3 light attacks. So if you after you any skill, light attack, any damaging skill, you gain 3 light attack buffs. So you have within 5 seconds you have to do a light attack, then you will gain another empower buff. Within 5 seconds, if you do a light attack, you gain another empower buff. So within 15 seconds, you can do 3 light attacks, and you again, your light attacks will deal 40% more damage. Okay, 40% more damage from light attack is not impressive, right? Because light attack, the base damage of light attack is not really high. But if you go into the skills and you have bound almonds, it increases your maximum stamina by 8%, which is super sweet. It increases the light attack damage by 11%. So 40% plus 11%, 51%. Okay, quick maths. And you need to remember CP, you have this special thing called physical weapon expert. So you can increase, for me I put 33 points into this. I increase my my light attack, heavy attacks damage by 19%. So you have 51% earlier, you add 19%, 70%. 70%. You might still think, oh, okay, 70% is decent now, right? Because your light attack is as strong as your heavy attack now, your fully charged heavy attack. But you need to remember, I'm not sure whether every one of you will read patch notes for every new patch, but okay, I'm an ESO theory crafter, so I do read them. And as for the Somerset patch, because of the PvE meta of heavy attacks, so the Zos actually changed light attack to be more effective now. Previously, the coefficient for light attacks is more dependent on weapon damage. Basically, the higher your weapon damage is, the stronger your light attacks are. And for that case, weapon damage is really important, but they change it during the Somerset patch, and your weapon damage is as equally important as your light attack. So now there's a 40% increased damage for light attacks. So you include that into that 70%. So basically, compared to Somerset patch, your light attacks will do 110% more damage. So light attacks is actually quite powerful for this patch now. And with all the, like I mentioned earlier, the 70% boost of damage, your light attacks will do close to the damage of your ransack. Slightly lower, but close to it. I tested it already. I can't test it now because someone need to hit you to block an attack to gain the empower buff. But I tested it earlier, and what I tested it actually quite a few days ago when I was theory crafting, and the tooltip of light attack, so to say, is a fully buffed my ransack is going to do 9.2k damage. I compare the damage of my light attack, my fully buffed up and empowered light attack. It deals about 2k more or less, yeah, just a little bit less damage than my ransack. It's about 8k tooltip, because when I crit, I remembered I did about 1.4k crit damage on ransack, 14k crit damage on ransack, and my light attack deals about 11.5k more or less. So the tooltip of our light attack will be 8k physical damage, and our ransack is 9.2k more or less. So your light attack is as powerful as your heavy attack if you're using this Might of the Lord's Legion set. So this is a craftable set. You can find it in the Murkmire patch, and you can craft it somewhere. I'm not a crafter, so I don't know where is it, but it's somewhere in the middle of the map. You can just Google it. It's it's just a craftable set, so it's really easy to obtain. So we are using this on the waist, on the hands, on the legs, so everything is medium here. Impenetrable trait for hands and for the waist, and for the legs we're using tri-stat enchantment. And since this is a set where you need to block, we only are using it on our sword and board bar. On our shield we are using sturdy trait with weapon damage enchantment, maximum stamina enchantment, sturdy traits, and our sword I'm using Nunhorn. Nunhorn is the best for sword and board, and we'll be using double dot poisons. The main reason why I'm using double dot poisons is because of the skill again and again. Crit Search, such an important skill. You want to do a lot of crit damage and you can get back a lot of healing. Now, to the item where everybody dislike, Master Weapons. I'm using Master Axe. It doesn't need to be Master Axe. You can use Master Dagger. It will be actually really powerful as well because it gives you more crit, and we are using our Dawnbreaker on our dual wheelbar. So if you don't have Master Axe, use Master Dagger. If you don't have Master Dagger, you can use Master Bow. You need to change just a little bit of skills, but you emphasize the focus on your physical on your weapon damage now. So your weapon damage, you can increase the weapon damage at 455 unbuffed and add that another 300. So you need to add 500 plus 550 more or less. Wait, let me do the maths. Yeah, 550 plus 300 is about 850 weapon damage just by using light attack poison injection. Insane. That is a lot of weapon damage. So your sword and board bar is going to be really powerful. But if you still don't have Master Bow, then it's going to be a bit tricky. Then you are not going to use this Lost Legion setup now. I'm going to go yeah. For this Lost Legion setup, you need to have Master Weapons no matter what. You need to have either Master Bow or Master Axes or Master Dagger. But if you don't have that, now I'll go to the other setup, which is a all-round more generous setup now. I will be using, as you can see, the name Spriggan, so it's kind of yeah, you already know what is coming. So we are using the typical Troll King as well with 45 breasts. We're using 45 breasts on the 5 pieces on the body, so chest, heavy, tri-stat. We are using waist. Everything you want to be impenetrable, you can use one well-fitted. It's good in non-CP campaign. Yeah, medium hands, medium waist, medium boots, or impenetrable or stamina enchantment. On the legs, you'll be using tri-stat enchantment with impenetrable trait. So that is the basic setup, and we are using Spriggan's jewelry, all robust, 1 cost reduction, 1 weapon damage, 1 recovery, and we are only using Spriggan's on our sword and board bar. So because on our sword and board is our main damaging bar, and we are using Master Weapons. But like I mentioned earlier, if you don't have Master Weapons, you don't have Master Bow, you don't have Master Axe, you don't have Master Dagger, drop Spriggan's, drop all the Master Weapons, use Fury. Fury is really powerful. I know it's a bit boring, but it's so effective, you have to use it. In CB campaign especially. In non-CB campaign, you can use other things like Rail, you can use 7 Legion, up to you. But for CB campaign, go for Fury, Jewelry, 3 Jewelry, Fury, and Fury Dual Wield, and Fury Sword and Board. Ups and downsides of Fury compared to Master Weapons. Obviously, your Blood Trace is going to do less damage. It's going to do about, the tooltip is going to be 10k less on your dot. But with Fury, all your other skills are going to be way powerful. Your Quick Cloak is going to have an increase of damage. Your Hurricane is going to have increase of damage. Your Dawnbreaker is going to hit harder. Your Ransack is going to hit harder. Everything is going to hit harder with Fury, because Fury gives you about more or less 900, 800 weapon damage fully buffed up, which is so sweet. It's insane. No other set gives you so much weapon damage other than Fury. The downside is, if you are fighting in a 1v1 situation, you're putting pressure on your enemy, you're not gonna get that damage bonus because you're not taking damage. But in an outnumbered fight, it's really nice to have Fury. So that is the other option you have if you don't have Master Weapons or Master Bow, Master Axe, Master Dagger. You don't have all those, you don't want to farm them, just go for Fury. But if you have them, go for Spriggan's and like I slot here, the Master Weapons here. As for the traits for Master Weapon, yeah, Nirnhorn front bar, Nirnhorn on the first axe, the second axe you're using Infuse with weapon damage enchantment. What else? Yeah, I think that's about it for the skills. You might be wondering why I am not using two-hand weapon. Two-hand weapon is really underwhelming for this build, for this class Stamina Sorcerer, mainly because you cannot apply a dot. You need a dot for Stamina Sorcerer. I cannot emphasize this enough. The main reason is because you need to do crit damage to get healing from your critical search, and you want to apply pressure on your enemy. By using two hand, you have a good skill called forward momentum. But the thing is, we are so fast on this build. Okay, I'll go through the skills later, but I can explain why forward momentum is really underwhelming for Stamina Sorcerer. That's why I totally dropped 2-hand and I went full damage. Now, before I go to the skills, I want to show you the tooltip of this build really quickly. I think my weapons are... Okay, it's not back now. Okay, so... oh shit, I use Sunbreaker. So I buffed up, use a potion. You can see on the sword and board bar 3.6k, on the dual wield bar 3.9k weapon damage. I can do that again, you can see. Weapon damage is 3.9k on the dual wield bar, 38% crits, and yeah, again 3.6k weapon damage. You need to remember we have a lot of penetration, so you need to add about 400 plus weapon damage to this because we are using Spriggans on our sword and board bar. So Spriggans basically gives you 400 and a little bit more weapon damage, more or less, if you do the maths correctly. Okay, now as for the other stats, we have stamina recovery 1.8k, health recovery is going to go up to 3.7k with choking. Health is about 25k, 24k in Cyrodiil. Magicka is 11k, which is decent. Stamina is 38k in Cyrodiil. Yeah, 38k max stamina on a sword and board bar. On a dual wield bar is going to be less. It's only going to be 34k because of two things. Because of the stamina from our shield, and we have the skill called, what do you call that? Bound Almonds give us 8% more max stamina. That's why we have really high stamina on our sword and board bar. As for the other buffs, let me just use this buff really quickly. On the sword and board, we have about 29k physical resistance and 28k spell resistance. Extremely high, that's good enough. Crit resistance is really high as well, 2.4k. What else? Yeah, what is spell penetration 5.3k here. You need to add another 5.2k from Ransack, from our debuff, and you need to, yeah, I think that's about it. Yeah, it's added here, I think. Spriggans, let me unequip it. Yeah, Spriggans is added here, so we have yeah, basically we have close to 11k physical penetration, which is extremely high for a Stamina Sorcerer. So 11k penetration, which is nice. As for the Mundus Stone, we are using the Warrior Mundus Stone. If you feel like your sustain is not good enough, you can use Serpent, but I tried with Serpent, my sustain is way too high. I just feel like I'm not doing enough damage and my sustain is way too much. That's why I went for Warrior. But if you're not comfortable with only 1.7k stamina recovery with Dark Deal, you can use Serpent. Don't need to be a werewolf, doesn't really matter. ESO plus doesn't really matter. We are using Atrium Takeaway Broth as our food buff. You can use Dubious as well if you are cheapskate, but I prefer Atrium because health recovery is nice to just boost it up. Because we are using Troche. What else? The poisons and potions. The potions, the main potion for this build is the crit potion. We are using Major Savagery potion with immune to knockback and stamina. There are other potions like Major Expedition. I don't think you should use this because we have Major Expedition for either from our bow or from Quick Cloak. Lingering Health is decent as well for non-CP. Detection potion is nice as well, gives you crit as well, which is nice. To find Night Blades. Invincible potion is nice as well. And the Speed potion is for sometimes in what you call that, battlegrounds, it could be useful. So those are the potions that I'll be using. The poisons, you could use tri-stat potions as well, but I wouldn't recommend it. It's nice, you can boost up the healing of your Troll-King, but I feel like crit potions are just the way to go. The crit, immune to knockback and stamina potion, this is your main potion you need to craft. As for poisons, we are only using one kind of poisons, which is the damage health poison, double dot poison, so to say, because it helps with our crit surge and it does a lot of damage as well. We have high crit on this build, 38%, crits a lot as well, do a lot of damage, help with the sustained pressure. Now to the skills. I'll go through the bow bar first. The bow setup is really easy. So I'll go through the skills first. For the bow, you have your poison injection. So this is your execute, your so-called executes dot skill. You have your ball of lightning, get away from zergs, hurricane, your buffs, your major resolve, major watt buffs, minor expedition buff, can break cloak as well, which is really nice. Dark Deal is got nerfed a bit, I think, because it gives less stamina back. It's only 3.6k now, but instead you have 2.4k stamina over 20 seconds, so that is about 121 seconds, which is 240 stamina recovery every second, more or less. It's okay, it's okay. We have crit search just to give us our major brutality, because we are not using two-hand. We don't have forward momentum, so crit search will be our source for major brutality, and it's our main healing source as well. It deals a lot of healing. It's as strong as, I would say, vigor. The tooltip of vigor is 13.4k unbuff, obviously, for 5 seconds. Yeah, for every 1 second you gain 3.2k. You times 5, that is 15k healing. It's insane. Crit search, really underwhelming. That's why I'm using dot on my enemy, because I want to keep crit search up. I have poison injection on a dual wheel bar. I have a dual wheel setup. I have crit cloak and blood craze. So that is what I do to have crit search always on. I have my defensive ultimate charge astronaut on a bow bar, and on a sword and board bar I have ransack, revert bash, evil hunter, bound almonds, resolving vigor, and dawnbreaker. This is really straightforward, this bar, because if you're using bow and sword and board, you want your sword and board bar to be your main damaging bar. So I have all my damaging skills like evil hunter, bound almonds, and dawnbreaker all on the front bar. I have extremely high damage on this bar, and at that odd I have either the Legion set, the Lost Legions, I don't know what's the name of that set called, so long. Anyways, the Lost Legion set or the Spriggans, so we have a really strong damaging front bar on sword and board. What you could use is, you could use bow ultimate and you could use shield ultimate on the front bar. If you feel like you need to reflect a lot of skills, you have spell wall and you have bow ultimate. It's yeah, it's just a different kind of build. You have less AoE damage, but you have extremely high single target damage on your with your bow ultimate. So it's really up to you how you want to run your setup. But I think this is my setup for bow. It's really straightforward. For the dual wheel, however, on the other hand, it's gonna be a little bit different. We are not gonna use evil hunter. We will receive crit from our crit potion. We are using ball of lightning on the front bar. So we have blood craze for our bleed. We have crit cloak for our speed at major evasion. Major evasion is really underwhelming. This patch is not underrated. This patch, because a lot of the damage, ultimate damage you receive are like meteor, dawnbreaker, leap, something like that. Yeah, the only ultimates they are usually single target are in camp or something like so assault. So you can reduce damage from AoE damage like jabs and all those stuff by 25%. So this will give you a lot of tankiness for this build, and it gives you a nice dot as well, a surrounding dot for you. So you can just use quick cloak and hurricane together. You have major and minor expedition, and you have major evasion for defensive, major resolve for defensive, and major watt for defensive. So these two skills are your offensive and defensive skills, so you'll be really tanky with these two skills. And yeah, we have Dark Deal after that, and we have crit search. Yeah, Dark Deal is always a must-have because it helps you to sustain a lot. And you have your Dawnbreaker on your dual wheel bar, and you have your defensive ultimate on your, because I want to use spell wall, because in Cyrodiil there's so many snipers and so many sorcerers and so many night blades and stuff like that. You want to have spell wall ready, and ransack, revert bash, ball of lightning, bound armors, and vigor. So the theory crafting part of this is, I tried to implement two-hand into my build, but I just don't think two-hand is good for Stamina Sorcerer because it doesn't do enough damage. Dizzying swing is not reliable. It's only good if you have a good burst, like a stam, I wouldn't even see. Maybe Stampla has a decent burst with power the power of the light, but Stam Warden is the best to have big burst, so Dizzying Swing is good for Stam Warden. The other skills are Reverse Slice, which is underwhelming, Stampede underwhelming, Cleave is really underwhelming as well. So if Cleave is only good if you are using a bleed build. So we are sacrificing the only one thing, which is snare removal for this build, but instead we receive so much from this, mainly because you can use Dual Wield. Dual Wield gives you Quick Cloak, a damaging skill, gives you Blood Craze, a damaging skill. So you add that up with your only damaging skill for Stamina Sorcerer, which is Hurricane. And other than that, we are not using two hand on the back bar, so we have our debuff, your Ransack, your Major Factor debuff, so you do even more damage. And you have your Defile, so you reduce the healing of your enemy. With all these skill, right, you have 1 damaging, 2 damaging skill, you have debuffs, you have buff, you have AoE damage, you have bleed damage. It's just so versatile. In my opinion, this is how you should build a Stamina Sorcerer to make it work for this patch. Without Dual Wield or without Bow, Bow is decent as well, because Bow you have Poison Injection, and you have you can use something like a Master Weapon, so you get Master Bow, so you get a lot of weapon damage. So with Poison Injection as you execute, and yeah, and then you can rely on really hard hitting Ransack and hard hitting Dawnbreakers to kill your enemy. But with Dual Wield, you have more sustained damage, you have Quick Cloak, you have higher bleed damage. Obviously Blood Craze overall deals more damage than Poison Injection, but Poison Injection is execute, so we have, it's different. Both are really good skills. So yeah, it's really depending on your situation, whether you want to use Bow or whether you want to use Dual Wield. For me, I think Dual Wield is slightly better because you get Major Evasion from Quick Cloak. So you could, yeah, like I mentioned earlier, we don't have any skills to remove snares. You could use Shuffle, but I don't think it's a good skill. It costs too much, and it doesn't gives you a lot. It just gives you Major Evasion. You compare that to Quick Cloak, you get Major Evasion, you get a dot damage, surrounding damage, and you get Major Expedition. It's so much better compared to Shuffle. So Shuffle is, just be honest, I'm just gonna be honest, yeah, it's a shit skill, this patch. It's not a good skill. You can remove Snare for 0.5 seconds area light armor, so it's only 3 seconds immobilization from Snare. It's just not good enough, in my opinion, to use Shuffle. Yeah, I think that's about it for the skills. Ball of Lightning is a must-have as well. There are two methods you get out from. You overcome snares and roots. You overcome snares by being fast. That's the only method I use to get away from snares. You don't have snares removal, it's fine. You have major and minor expedition. When you sprint, it's extremely fast. As for roots, most of the roots are range Magicka skill roots, like Ice Clench, or roots like from Warden, or something like roots from Magicka Nightblade, something like that. They are all Magicka roots. The only Magicka roots that are that you can't really dodge is like Magicka DK, but they need to move close to you, or maybe some stamina roots, like some random roots with bow root. What is the skill called? Bombard. Yeah, but nobody uses Bombard, so you don't have a lot of very few, maybe poison roots, but there are very few roots, range roots for stamina. So basically you can use rely on this Ball of Lightning to get some immunity from roots. That is my method to get away from roots and snares. I use speed to get away from snares because we are so fast with major and minor buffs, and I have Ball of Lightning to get away from range roots. So that is my method to get away from roots, and obviously you can use your dot throw as well. Okay, yeah, so as a conclusion, I rely a lot of skills from weapon skill line to do a lot of damage. Dawnbreaker, autos, Quick Cloak, Blood Craze, Ransack, Revert Bash, and I have my defensive skill, defensive armor. I have my defensive armor brass, I have my healing set, Troll-King, so we overcome low damage, and we overcome weak healing, and we overcome low defense with brass. So with all this, that's how I build my Stamina Sorcerer. That's why you can see in the gameplay video, I'll post a link below, you can see how I play. It's so strong, this build. Now to the skill rotation. I will start off with the bow first because the bow is super easy. Okay, so if you're using a bow, just make sure your buffs are up. Light attack, poison injection, move to your enemy, ransack it, and then you can reverb into Dawnbreaker, or you can just keep up the pressure. Just make sure your poison injection is up. Every 5 seconds you want to go to your back bar to do light attack poison injection, mainly because you want to gain your weapon damage enchantment, and you want to gain the caustic arrow set, so you gain 300 weapon damage. Just make sure every 5 seconds you go back to your back bar and recast it. And then you have your poison proc, and you can use your Dawnbreaker on your front bar, do shit ton of damage. Guys, I want to add this into this video. I forgot to mention earlier, there's one trick by using the bow, sword and board. Yeah, I'm not sure whether most of you know this. I don't know, is it a bug or what, but it's a thing that you can take advantage of. Let's say you're in your sword and board bar, you are under pressure, you always do a bigger dodge throw, right? You quickly switch to your front bar, you will still receive the bow speed, because after you dodge throw, there's like a duration where you have the snare immunity. Within that half or 1 second, if you switch to your bow bar, you will gain the major expedition from your bow bar. I'll show it again. So let's say you're under pressure now, you do a bigger dodge throw, you quickly switch to your bow bar, you see, you still get the speed. So this is one of the tips I can give you if you're using the bow and sword and board setup. Okay, now back to the video. For dual build, it's pretty easy as well. This build is just super easy to play, to be honest. Just buff up yourself. Make sure Hurricane is always up. Hurricane is really important buff. So you want to use Crit Surge, Major Brutality, Hurricane, and your I can't remember the name, sorry. Quick Cloak. Go to your enemy, try to charge up a heavy attack or light attack into Blood Craze. So you gain when you use Blood Craze, you apply disease damage, you apply your weapon damage enchantment, and then you can go to your front bar, puncture first, and then you can start. After you light attack puncture, usually your poison will proc. You can go into reverb to debuff your enemy, go to front bar, do a Dawnbreaker, and then keep on applying the pressure. After every like 5 seconds or 6 seconds, you want to go back to your back bar, reapply these 2 buffs, and then go back to your front bar and go into the deeps again. It's really straightforward. Don't try to do your Dawnbreaker. If you're fighting good enemies, you want to wait for your poison to proc, then only you go into Dawnbreaker. Another thing is you want to always take a look at the status of your of the weapon damage enchantment. You always want to use weapon. You always want to have your weapon damage enchantment up. Then only use the Dawnbreaker, because you lose out so much damage if you're not having that on. So what if you're like, let's say you're fighting your enemy. You're on your front bar. You know your poison proc, your bleed proc, everything proc on your enemy, but what do you say? You don't have your weapon damage enchantment. You don't want to go to your front bar and straight drop your Dawnbreaker. You want to use your rending first, so you gain your weapon damage enchantment, then only you do your Dawnbreaker. I'll show it to you now. So okay, let's say we are fighting now. Okay, your poison proc, you're under a lot of pressure. Go to your front bar, quickly do a rending, like attack rending into Dawnbreaker. So you do the maximum amount of Dawnbreaker damage on your enemy. So that is how I play usually. Another method is like if you're fighting Nightblades, actually it's the best build to fight Nightblades. You have so many AoE damage, they just can't get away from you unless they are using shit. So this build is gonna wreck a lot of the Nightblades. I'm not even kidding. So powerful. I fought against a lot of bleed builds as well, because our healing over time is insane. We have Throw King, we have good we have good sustain, and we have good physical resistance with breast. So we have got so much healing. Then your bleed is not gonna kill you unless if you are fighting 2 bleed builds. Then you're gonna suffer a bit. But if you're fighting 1 bleed builds, I mean like proper bleed builds, not shitty bleed builds, like proper bleed builds, you can sustain, you can fight, you can win the fight easily. It's not a problem. I think this build is that strong. I dare to say that. Okay, the skills are done. Now to the CP. Siphoner 11, 51 Warlord, 3 Bashing Focus, 49 Mooncuff, 15 Tenacity, 34 Befile, so you get 39% Major Defile. Tumbling, 56, 51 Shadow Ward, 32 Bless, 33 Physical Weapon Expert, 13 Shattering Blows, 72 Master at Arms, 51 Precise Strikes, 20 Piercing, 49 mighty, 7 medium armor focus, 66 ironclad, 34 resistance, 49 hardy, 43 elemental defender, 34 thick skin, 37 quick recovery. Yeah, that's about it for the CP. I think that's about it for this build. If you have any suggestions or you have anything you want to ask, just throw them in the comments below. Make sure you go watch the gameplay video, because the gameplay video will show how I play this build, both of the builds as well. I use all the fights near Arios in the Arios resource or the Arios kit. I'm using the Legion setup. I'll show you really quickly. Legion, yeah, this Lost Legion setup, and all the other fights at other places. I was using the Spriggan setup, so you can see both of the setup will work just fine actually in CP and in non-CP campaign. Yeah, that's about it for this video. Make sure to throw a like, make sure to subscribe to my channel for more ESO videos, and I'll see you guys in the video. Bye bye.